समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Okay, today we start from a verse of 46, and this is Yavanartha udapane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. It says, I will read the translation. It says, to the Brahmana who has known the self, all the Vedas are of as much use as is a reservoir or water in place where there is flood everywhere. Now, a lot of people misunderstand this as Krishna trying to decry the Vedas and say that the Vedas are of no use to now another word over here which is misunderstood, Brahmanasya. Explaining the word Brahmana, I had told you that Brahmana is not the one who is born in the caste of a Brahmana. Brahmana is the one who knows the Brahma, one who is established in the Brahma. The Brahma is not Brahma. Take care. Not Brahma. Brahma is the name for the ultimate reality. Brahma, has come from Brahad, and is all pervading, vast, So Brahmana is the one who revels in the Brahma. Brahma mein Ramana jo karta hai. The two words, Brahma and Ramana. Ramana means revels in. So one who revels in the supreme reality is the Brahmana. Now it says over here, see, to the Brahmana, that means to a man of realization, to a man who is totally established in the self, who has, he says further, who has known the self. Now, known the self means Brahmanishta. Brahmanishta means firmly established in the truth. He knows that all that he sees, including his body, is not the reality. So, therefore, he says all the Vedas are of as much use as a reservoir of water when there is a flood. Now, naturally, when there is a flood and every water body is submerged in that flood, so what use is the reservoir, which was very useful when there was no flood? Everybody was drinking out of that reservoir, bathing out of that reservoir. But now if there is flood all over, naturally the reservoir becomes useless. So here when he says that who has known the self, all the Vedas are absolutely useless, it is like this. Once you know your true personality, you don't need identity cards. A dreamer, once he becomes the waker, does he need an identity card or an Aadhaar card or a driver's license or a passport to tell him who he is? Are those things required to make him understand that he was not the dreamer, the dream beggar in the dream world, that he is real in true self, he is the waker? No, he doesn't need any of those. So they have become useless, isn't it? The ID card, the Aadhaar card, they're all useless to a waker. He knows who he is. So similarly, he's saying here, see, to the Brahmana who knows the self, all the Vedas are of as much use as a reservoir. So Anubhav is superior to book knowledge. Anubhav is experience. The experienced man knows it all, no matter what the book says or the book doesn't say. Right? Now, so see, I always remember this, I had seen a Laurel and Hardy film in which, Hardy is sitting near a lion's cage and Laurel is telling him, put your hand in and shake the hand of the lion. He will do nothing to you, but you have to continuously keep looking at him in his eyes and shake his hand. So Hardy is not doing it. And Laurel tells him, no, no, do it. I read it in a book. You see, how useful is that book? A lion is a lion. So then Hardy says, but has the lion read that book? The lion doesn't know. So the moment you put your hand in, the lion is going to bite you. Similarly, over here, he says somebody who knows, who has experienced that a lion can bite, he does not need a book to explain anything to him. Another example I'll give you. A tourist who has gone to Hawaii, when he comes back and he gives you a total description of the trip, the place where he stayed, where you can go and have your meals, and the beauty of the place Hawaii, that will be much more authentic. And that tourist now does not need to read a tourist brochure to make him understand about Hawaii, right? He has already got the experience. So that experience is far, far superior to this. So the Vedas, he means to say that the Vedas become a toy for the mature individual, the grown up man, the evolved man who is himself totally established uh, in the true self, and he knows the true self. So once you have merged, the dreamer has already merged into the waker. So he does not need to be told that he is no longer a dreamer, and that is what he is saying over here. Now, uh, see, he is also hinting at the ritualistic portion of the Vedas, because the people of those days only understood the meaning of the Vedas as the ritualistic portion of the Vedas. That is all. They didn't go up to the Upanishads. Most of the people, when they talked of Vedas, even today, you'll be surprised when you talk of the Vedas. People say, "Oh, it is only mantras and rituals." Huh? But you have this word called Vedanta, where all the great Upanishads are placed. Vedanta means the end portion of the Vedas. Ved Anta. That means towards the end portion of the Vedas, all your very, very high philosophy has been placed. So when you say Vedas here to a student like Arjuna, because this is addressed to Arjuna, and Arjuna understood only Karma Kand from the Vedas. So Krishna is only trying to tell him that any sincere seeker of the truth does not require rituals anymore to satisfy himself or to bring him any kind of a fulfillment. He does not need those rituals, because Vedic rituals promise the gaining of the result of action, the fruits of action. Action means karma kand, yajna, havan, mantras, that by doing this you will gain this. They all promise materialistic pleasures. Here he is saying that karma kand and the rituals for the satisfying of desires are no longer needed by the man who has ultimately realized the truth. So the man who has ultimately realized the truth is a person who has already exhausted his vasanas through maybe rituals, through gaining sensuous pleasures, to having worked for material gains, and he has lived through all those desires of his, and now he does not need them anymore. As I had given you an example, that a grown up girl does not anymore want to play with a doll. She is through with playing with the doll. No more she wants to play with the doll, isn't it? She has grown out of the desire for a doll. So she doesn't have to make any effort to leave the doll. The doll drops off on its own. Similarly, all the attractions of this world that you see, to an evolved human being, they are there or they are not there, does not matter. Because he is already established in a higher bliss, in a higher ecstasy. He has reached the source of happiness. He has reached the source of Ananda. We have discussed earlier that Ananda is not in any object. You know, we project Ananda on an object and then we run after it. That object will give us the happiness. Whereas the happiness does not come from the object, it comes from inside you. When you attain a desire, you suddenly feel fulfilled. Whereas another man, your neighbor, attains the same desire, he will not feel happy. I have, in my last talk or the talk before that, I'd given you the example of a man in a sari shop and a woman in a sari shop, isn't it? The man is not interested in the saris. Nobody needs to tell him that you give up the saris, they're of no use to you. He has already given them up. He has never looked at them. Therefore, because he does not find ananda in that sari, the woman feels the ananda in that dress, new dress, because she has projected the ananda on that dress. So, to whom this is of no use, he will not crave for the blessings of the Vedas. He will not crave for all that the ritualistic karmakand of the Vedas can supply to him. He is not interested. So that is all. So now we come to a very, very important verse, highly debated, highly misunderstood also, and also very, very often quoted. I do not think that any other verse from the Geeta is quoted as much by a layman as this verse has been quoted. So today's class, I think most of our time will go with this verse. Okay, and you must have heard this verse many a plenty a time. Even the Mahabharata, you know, the opening song of the Mahabharata had this verse. The great serial of Mahabharata, I'm talking of the old one, it began with this. So it is, I will read it to you. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu ma te sangostva karmani. Once more, I will. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते संगोस्त्वकर्मणि. Now, it reads, I will read the meaning to you, which says, thy right is to work only, but never to its fruits. Let not the fruit of action be thy motive, nor let their attachment be to inaction. This is very important. Look at the verse. The verse says that thy right is to work only. And it says never to its fruits. Now, this is what worries most of the people in the world. They say, why should we do anything if we do not have a right to its fruits? By saying that never to its fruits, he means here in one sentence that the fruit is not in your hand. You can do what you like. You can try as hard as you like. But you have seen in life that many a times you do not get the fruit that you had desired, no matter how hard labor you put in, because the fruit does not depend on your action alone. Definitely, if your action is superior to anybody else's action, you are the one that will get the fruit. See, it is automatic, it is natural. When you are walking, the shadow will come behind you. Supposing you are walking towards the sun, can anybody say that no, the shadow, I doubt whether the shadow will come behind me? Shadow is the result of the light coming from ahead of you onto you. It is a natural result. Similarly, in action, when you perform an action, good or bad, skilled or unskilled, efficient, inefficient, the result of that action is sure to accrue. And only a fool will keep looking back to ascertain that is the shadow coming behind me or not. Nobody does that. We all know that when you're facing light, shadow will automatically come behind you, right? So this is it. Now, see, when he says the right is to work alone, work only, so the choice of work is yours. The effort that you put in is yours, and the planning of the work is also yours, right? But the anxiety for the result is not yours. Here, he only says that your adhikar, that your right is to work. It is as well the choice of work, yes. It is the planning of work, yes. It is the effort you put in, yes. But the fruit depends on many other laws of nature other than what you expect. Supposing you go for a job interview, you have prepared very well, you have done your best, and you go for the interview. Oh, yes, you perform very well according to you, you perform very well. Okay, but see, there are other factors. There is another person who performs better than you, another candidate who performs better than you. Have you got control on that? No. Have you got control on the interviewer's no. Have you got control on what the interviewer expects the candidate to be like? You don't have that. So, the result of the interview will depend on so many different factors, do you see? Somebody performing better than you, somebody more qualified than you, and also the preference of the interviewer and the requirement of the job. So you say you are then disappointed because you say, I put in my best efforts, yet I not got the result. I am only explaining that the fruit is never in your hands. It will come dependent on so many different actions. That is why Krishna over here is telling Arjun, you do your best and leave the rest. And while doing your best, you should not have an anxiety in your mind. It is the anxiety that makes you nervous. It is the anxiety that makes your mind oscillate. The anxiety makes your mind flutter. And in that nervous state, you can never perform well. Never perform well. And that anxiety comes from a lot of attachment for the fruit. If you do not attach yourself to the fruit, that you renounce the fruit, not the fruit of the action. You don't renounce that. You only renounce the anxiety for the fruit. See, the Marxists always say that the Geeta is a dangerous book. It only tells the laborer to work, but it takes away the wages of the laborer. It is not taking away the wages of the laborer. It is saying that you have no control on the fruit. You will get the wages according to so many factors. And also that if you work with the right attitude, if you work with the noble attitude, with that you want to produce more than you consume, you want to do better than you would do for yourself, That becomes karma yoga, and that does not, in any way, that action does not enslave you. You do not labor under it like a mule. You do not become a laborer. You have the dignity of a human being working for the welfare of the society, not expecting anything for himself. What will I get is only a beggar that asks. The Gita does not, if that was the Gita philosophy, that always first ask, what will I get? We would have been a nation full of beggars. We are not. We perform action as karma yoga. We do our best. And as Gurudev used to say, you tell the Lord, I work, you worry. Very interesting. He says, I work, you worry. And when I'm tired, I will push the bundle onto your shoulder and tell you, hold it for some time till I regain my strength, and I will take it back. Don't worry. But work joyously. You know, it is like work, it is like a game. Play life like a game, not in tension, not in anxiety for the fruit. Oh, and then your mind, you know, we have a beautiful knack, a very skilled knack of projecting a very useless, helpless, miserable failure in the future. We love to project that before any action. And we not only project that, there are people who say, I can give it to you in writing. This is going to happen. Nobody can do that. Not even the best of astrologers, not even a Brahmanishta. Nobody can decipher the future and say this will happen. So why do you project it? You project it, then you breathe life into that ghost that you have invoked, and then you feel scared of that ghost. So why do you want to do it? He is only giving you a great psychological truth here. And that psychological truth is that you will remain safe if you remain only with the action. Put all your energies into the action. Do not waste your energies in fruitless anxiety, fruitless worry, and it will not take you anywhere. It will not take you anywhere, right? So he is over here saying that mental energies get dissipated in anxiety. Those very mental energies can be put to work if you are doing the work like you play a beautiful game and you enjoy the game, no matter what the result is, but at least you have enjoyed the game so well. That is karma yoga. Now, see, the word ma is used twice over here. It says karmanyeva adhikaraste. That means karma, your adhikar, that means your right, is only in the karma. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Ma means may you not waste your energy in thinking of the fruit. And kadachana, not at all. You should not at all waste your time, energy, and in trying to figure out the fruit. When you do that, it is suicidal, because all your energies get dissipated and you are not able to put in your best efforts. Now the word ma I was coming to, this word ma in Sanskrit is not a commandment. Ma does not mean no. Okay? Ma means the choice is with you, but please never let it be. Never let it be that such a thing happens. It also says that may you not. Ma means may you not. It does not say no. The word for no in Sanskrit is na. Just like in English, no. Similarly in Sanskrit, na. But the word ma doesn't exactly mean that. It means let you not do this. This will not be good for you. So let it not happen. So what is he saying that let it not happen? He is saying that let not this happen, that you waste your energies in performance. Your performance will otherwise come down to a total third rate poor performance because of your nervousness. How many students do you know who you have that experience? You know a lot, but out of sheer nervousness, when you sit to give the exam, you just forget what you knew. And you sit there and you wonder and you keep on trying to remember, but just out of your nervousness, sheer nervousness, you don't remember anything. And then your performance is very bad, and then you fail. You fail the test. So a child who gives up hope that how will my performance be, he excels. You know, I'm giving the example of somebody who went for an interview in a Delhi university for being a lecturer in a Delhi University college. Now, this lady was from an outside university, not from Delhi University. The examiners who had come to interview, they were all from Delhi University. They were specialists in their subject and all from Delhi University. Okay. Now, the candidates that had come for the interview, hoping to get, there were 3 jobs advertised, and there were 75 people who had come for that interview. They were to select only 3. Okay. Now, this lady, not being from Delhi University, realized that she is definitely not going to get the job, because there were so many people doing their PhDs and MPhils and DLits and all kind of things they were doing under these very professors who had come to question them. Now, so when this particular lady, who was also very good at her subject but come from a different university, realized that I will not get it, so she left the anxiety for the job. There was no anxiety in her mind for the result of the interview, because she was sure that she's going to fail. So she took it very, very lightly and very confidently. She was so confident of all the answers she gave that she was the one who was selected by Delhi University professors. They did not select their own students, and they selected her because she had no anxiety for the fruit. That shows, I am giving this example only to show you that the mind becomes so placid. And when the mind is equipoised, your action gains a glow. Your action gains a skill that you never knew you had. Also in this, connected with the same thing I'm telling you, that you generally, a judge, when he is judging, does not get a case related to any one of his relatives. Right? Why does that happen? A doctor does not operate on his close relative, his mother, his wife, his daughter. A surgeon is not allowed to operate on them. There is a reason. That the equipoise in the surgeon's mind is disturbed by the anxiety for the fruit. He is so nervous that if something goes wrong, supposing he's operating on his wife, he is so nervous that if something goes wrong, my wife will die. And that nervousness makes his hand quiver and shake. So he is not able to keep his balance, his equipoise, and the surgery is not skilled, is not skillful. Therefore, some other surgeon operates. Another thing, a judge. A judge's judgment will become conditioned if he is judging the case of any relative of his. Therefore, the case is not argued in front of him. It is the same reason, same reason. Now see, worrying for the future success is not your right, planning is your right, making an effort is your right. Now, you will say that yes, but the modern materialistic philosophy is all profit oriented, is all result oriented. And if you do not have the anxiety for the result or the profit motive in your mind, your work will uh, not be excellent or professional. You will not have the drive to do. That is their argument. But Gita reverses it totally. And Gita says you will get the result when your action is performed with a balanced mind. And you will perform very, very well if your action goes with a balanced mind. See, it is like this. If you have put your money in a bank, there is a dacoity in the bank, but you are not nervous because you know that the bank owes it to you and the bank will give you your money with interest. But the bankers are nervous because they have a personal stake. They identify with that money. And you know that the bank has to give that money to you. So you are not nervous. So if you work with a lot of nervousness and anxiety for the fruit, Gurudev used to say that you are a beast of burden. You are not a karma yogi. A karma yogi works totally without selfish interest. He is not, a karma yogi is not worrying for the success of his action in the future. Now, this advice uh, seems to indicate an absolutely impossible method. And people argue that this is almost a religious sanction for people not to work, not to put in the best effort. And the religion is sanctioning it, saying that don't even think about the profit, you just work. So, why should a man put in his best? Why? It is defeating its own purpose. And they say that it is tyrannizing the poor to remain poor, and it is exalting the rich to remain rich and exploit the poor. Because if the poor are not working for the fruit of action, then the rich can exploit them. Please understand that we are here talking of the motive, not the result. The motive of action should be pure, selfless, and poised, not worrisome. If that is the motive, the result will follow as your shadow follows you. It will come as best as the effort you have put in, that best the result will come. It is not exploiting the poor. It is not but trying to say that don't even want the fruit. It says you take the fruit definitely, but accept the fruit with prasad bhakti. When you are accepting the fruit with prasad bhakti, that is the secret of real achievement, because you have not worried, you have not dissipated your energy, you are not nervous, you are equipoised in the skill of action, and you will succeed. So this is the secret art of living an inspired life. When you do action without worrying, with no worry in your mind. So choose your action, choose your effort, plan your strategy, but don't become the general manager of the universe. You cannot determine the fruit. The fruit has to be determined by other things in action. So also understand that your action is only half the battle. No action is complete in itself. Action is completed when the reaction of the action takes place. And that reaction of the action is determined by so many different things. It is dependent on many different things. So he says here, see, like a farmer, I give you an example. The farmer cultivating a field, he has labored, plowed the field, put in a very good seed, put in very good manure, watered it, and everything. And when the sprouts are beginning to come out, then there is a hailstorm. The hailstorm is not the handiwork of the farmer. He has done his best efforts. But that is something what you call Adidaivik in Vedanta, means action from the God, the hand of God. As in legal language, they call it the hand of God. Now, the hand of God determines that the entire crop should be destroyed. Well, it is destroyed. So, whatever are the causes of that action to take place are not in your hands. So, as I said, that the result is dependent on so many different things, and therefore, when something is not in your hand, the fruit of action not in your hand, then the laws of nature take over, and you can do nothing about it. It is slowly, when you live your life, as you grow, as you age, you understand this theory very well. You understand that your right is only to action. So you will only do what is there, not desire prompted actions. Desire prompted actions, selfish actions always result in disappointment and dissipated energies. The Gita is this verse of the Gita is basing itself on this psychological truth that an equipoised mind, unworrisome mind is the best mind which can work very efficiently. And when it works very efficiently, the laws of motion go into force. There is a law of motion everywhere in the world. See, it is not you who determine the planets to move in wherever their movements are. You are not determining the sun, the movement of the moon, the rise, the spinning of the earth does not take place on your orders. There is a system in place which is happening. You cannot govern that when will you die. You cannot dictate that I will not have this disease. You will not. There is nothing in your hand. But the Gita still says that even though action and reaction will take place according to the laws of nature, let's say, understand it from a computer. A computer will only give you a result if it has been programmed into it. We all understand that? If there is no programming done, nothing has been fed in, nothing is going to come out. It is a cause and effect. So, all your karmas of the past, the karmas of other people, they are all related to each other. And that determines the result of actions. Altogether determines a result of action. So the intelligence of this computer called Hiranyagarbha means the total mind. The total mind of every plant, animal, human in the world determines what will happen. Not just you. There is a system in place, and you are only a pin in the wheel of action. You are just a little pinpoint, a little clog in the wheel. So how can you determine the movement of the wheel? You cannot determine the result of the wheel. So no matter what you do, however best you fortify yourself and prepare yourself for the result of an action, the result of an action is dependent on many other things. And that is what completes the action. A cook, see, a cook cooks his best. He puts in the best in his food. But his action is not completed without somebody else eating that food and appreciating that food, or eating that food and criticizing that food, right? It is on the person and his tastes, his likes and dislikes that will determine the reaction of what the cook has cooked. The cook has made a beautiful dish, but don't we all know that when food comes on the table, some people love it and some people turn up their nose on it and say, oh, what is this? Oh, I don't like this. Oh, I never eat this. I never like this. So it is not the cook's fault. The reaction of the dish that he has produced on the table is dependent on so many other factors and the likes and dislikes. Some person likes more salt, the dish has less salt. He will not like it. But it doesn't mean that the cook is bad. Somebody doesn't like mustard, the cook has put mustard in it. So it is not the cook's fault, right? So the cook has made his best efforts. He has followed a very good recipe and he has presented it. But the action, as I said, completes itself only in the reaction. The action is only half. That means your performance of any deed is only half the action. And since you have control only on half the action, the teacher over here is only saying that do that action beautifully, do that action joyfully, do that action lovingly, because that is all that there is in your hand. There is nothing anymore in your hands, and your worrying over it is futile. You worry about it, you escape from the present and worry about the future, so you ruin even your present. When you worry, when you're full of anxiety, full of nervousness, what are you doing to your present? Tell me. You are ruining your present with worry, worry, worry. Some people go on feeling sad about something. Some people are anxiety prone. Some people are under depression. Some people are nervous. So all these things ruin your present moment. Whereas life is made up of moments. Unless and until you live these moments joyfully, unless and until you learn to have a grip on your mind, to have a control on your mind, to do actions because that is all that you have a right to. Do those actions best possible with an easy mind, with a calm mind, and watch the result. The result will come as best as can be. And an action which is done selflessly becomes a very noble action. The Gita also promises a Swargadwar to an action which is done for the welfare of others, not for me, myself. I want this result, I want this food, what will I get? The Gita does not appreciate such actions. Self centered, narrow, greedy. It only says those actions are base. The action that really uplifts you is an action like a soldier on the war front. He is giving up his life for you, for your country, for your home, for your family. He is sacrificing all that he has, his happiness, his family, his children, his wife, everything he is sacrificing for the nobility. So, what a great noble deed that is. Imagine. Such action merits heaven. Such action is what the Lord rewards. You know, it is not selfish action, greedy action that the Lord rewards. So enjoy the game and also understand that I plus I want, if you think that is what is happiness, it is a willing enslavement. It is a willing enslavement to the result of action. And that enslavement you should never do. One important thing about this paragraph, which we have not talked about as yet, is the last word. Sangos tava karmane. Sangos tava karmane. It says that your right is never to inaction. Look, I must read it exact words. Is a no let their attachment be to inaction. How beautiful. And then some people think that, okay, so I don't need to act. Why should I act? The result is not in my hand. Let there be whatever comes will come. So let me just sit back and become a coward, become a useless fellow, just sit at home and do nothing. So then since you are not gaining a fixed fruit according to your liking, you want to sit back and not do. Gita does not sanction that. It sanctions action. It says that you cannot court inaction. You have to act, but it is giving you the beauty of the perfect action. It is giving you the joy, the beauty, and the result that will accrue of an action done selflessly, beautifully, because that purges your mind. This word purgation is from the Greeks. It is a Greek word. It means purifying yourself, throwing out the waste from your body, what is called detoxifying your body today, right? Now, this is detoxifying your mind. When you perform a selfless action for the good of the society, as he is asking you to do, that purges your mind to a purified state, which lifts your mind very high and takes you towards the goal of self perfection, right? It is not this, the it will take you towards a healthy evolution. So understand that any action can cause suffering also, but that suffering is inherent to purify you. Just like a doctor gives you an injection when you are in the hospital, puts you on drip when you are in the hospital, or you are strapped up when you are in a hospital. But all those that suffering is to cure you. So understand that even if you are getting the serving any kind of suffering, bear it bravely and rise above it. So we do this much for today, or this verse, and the next verse we will do next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.